When it comes to Flare's native token called FLR, man, I just think it's so underrated. And going to the price of 50 cents during this bull run, that right there wouldn't be shocking to me at all, even though that's not financial advice, nor let alone a guarantee. But even besides that, why do I think that 50 cents is feasible during this bull run? It's because when it comes to Flare, I think it has one of the best fundamentals out there. I mean, you got to think about this, right? Flare is the blockchain for data. And basically what it's focused on is providing developers with decentralized access to data from other chains and as well as the internet. So yeah, that's how amazing it is. But of course, there's more to that because a lot of people out there like to say that, oh, wow, this type of stuff sounds kind of complicated. But here's the thing. If you take a look at Flare, there's actually two different data acquisition protocols. The first one is called the data connector, and the second one is called FTSO. Now, this stands for Flare Time Series Oracle. And let me break this down, and I think it's going to seem very simple in the end. For instance, if we take a look at FTSO, what is this, right? Again, the Flare Time Series Oracle. Now, you may be thinking, okay, this is kind of caca, man, this is trash, who cares about this? But I think it's actually very crucial because if you take a look at an oracle, what it is that it's basically a data feed that brings data from off the chain, aka off-chain data, and then it brings that data over into the blockchain. Now, you may be thinking, okay, why is this crucial? It's because without off-chain data, many decentralized applications out there, they simply wouldn't be able to function properly. I mean, this is how amazing an oracle is. If you want to see other examples of like projects that are focused on this like oracle aspect, you can take a look at, for instance, Chainlink. I mean, we all pretty much know about that. People, they're bullish on that. Me too. You also take a look at, for instance, the Pith network, blockchain oracle for market data. That right there is also very famous. So yeah, if you take a look at it, there's not really that many players in this space, right? When it comes to being focused on oracles, at least the good ones. So when it comes to, Flare's Time Series Oracle, this right here, I think is very amazing for its future. And I really can't wait. I think it could be so special. But yeah, even besides that point, we also have to take a look at how FTSO has been noted to provide, decentralized price and data feeds to decentralized applications on Flare. So yeah, I think that's very amazing. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the data connector when it comes to Flare, because of course, this is another data acquisition protocol that when it comes to Flare does exist. So yeah, let me talk about it real quick. This right here is for trustless data proofs. And it's also been noted that this enables information from other blockchains and the internet to be used on Flare. So yeah, if you take a look at Flare, really, I mean, it may not be like the most flashy, sort of, in your face type of project out there. It doesn't have the most hype, doesn't have the most fans, but I think there's sometimes beauty in simplicity because you take a look at, for instance, right, all these projects, sometimes we see them having like these random bells and whistles, having all these random knickknacks, all this type of random features that no one cares about. It's just sometimes overly confusing. And then, yeah, people just don't really like it. But in my opinion, again, Flare, it's so simple. The way I take a look at Flare is that it's basically like steak, but then you only put salt and pepper. No random sauces like, A1 sauce or ketchup, let alone that. Who would ever put ketchup on their steak? I wouldn't do that. But yeah, but even besides that, you take a look at how I just like my steak plain, man. Just like my projects, I like the ones that are simple, easy to understand, not confusing, and doesn't have random knickknacks for no reason. So that's what I really like about Flare. It's basically like, again, a steak with salt and pepper. That's what I really like about it. But even besides that, we take a look at something very crazy because currently giants like Anchor and Google Cloud, they are in the Flare ecosystem. I mean, could you imagine that? Google Cloud, that's massive. I mean, by the way, shout out to Google. But even besides that, you take a look at how when it comes to Flare, having these giants in their ecosystem, that truly says something. Usually, large scale entities, right? They don't want to be a part of an ecosystem of a project if they think it's caca, it's trash, or it's doo-doo. They're not going to do that, man. Usually large scale enterprises or, entities, they have a team doing due diligence, right? They actually have a team trying to look into stuff like this, not just randomly doing stuff out on a whim. So I think this right here is a very great sign when it comes to Flare. Now, not to mention, right, when we take a look at Flare as well, it's really not that bad in my opinion, because some people out there like to say that, oh, it's so trash, so caca. But if you think about it, projects out there, in many cases that have a lot of hype, a lot of fans, they have like nowhere near the fundamentals of Flare. So I think that this right here is so underrated. Yes, the price has gone down by quite a lot, and a lot of people don't like that. But in my opinion, the way I take a look at it is that the lower the price, the better the buying opportunity for me. And also on top of that, theoretically, right, the lower something is, the more room it has to grow. So that's what I really like about FLR, again, FLR's native token. Now, this brings me to my point as to why I think 50 cents isn't that ridiculous, because with all that being said, really, again, is 50 cents too much to ask for? No, I don't think so. But let me elaborate on this further, because, again, if it were to go to the price of 50 cents, considering current circulating supply, at that point, market cap would be around $25 billion. Yeah, it's not bad at all. We've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap. We've seen Shiba Inu reach around $40 billion in market cap. This is like peanuts. I mean, come on, really. Especially when I consider just how massive this bull run could be. There's currently over 600 million crypto owners. This is according to Crypto.com research, by the way, so it's not some random made-up number. But this right here, I think, is a very surprising figure, because if you take a look, back in 2021, right, during the peak of that bull run, there was roughly only around 300 million crypto owners. So now we basically have like double that amount. Could you imagine that? I mean, the amount of FOMO, buying pressure, and buying volume this time around could be so insane. And by the way, if you want to know all of the hidden gems I'm holding, if you want to know my portfolio, and if you want me to review your portfolio, or maybe even ask me questions as to how to become, a full-time content creator and, making videos online and how to grow an audience, feel free to join my Discord in the link in the description below. Right there, you can interact with me and ask me a bunch of these questions, basically. But yeah, even besides that, again, another factor which I believe could very well allow, FLR to reach these great heights is the fact that, the Bitcoin ETF is so massive for Bitcoin. Also, the Ethereum ETF, I think, is positive for the whole crypto space overall. Not to mention, right, you take a look at the amount of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption. It's just through the roof when it comes to the crypto space overall. So could you imagine what happens to altcoins as Bitcoin goes to the price of like 100,000, 150,000? Man, really, the sky could be the limit. And that's why I believe that this bull run could be so special. It's going to take some time, though. It's not going to happen, like, I think, in the next week or something, the peak of altcoins. Because if you take a look at it, right, as a worst-case scenario, altcoins, they've been known to peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Again, this is worst case. So if we take a look at how the last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April, a year and a half, 18 months is basically October of next year. So there's still some time there, basically a year from right now. So when people like to say, oh, wow, the bull run's over, it's trash, it's caca, all this. No, I think there are better days ahead. And I don't know why people keep, pressing the panic button quite essentially right now, because again, I think it's not the time to panic. Now, not financial advice, no one has to follow what I'm saying, but again, that's just the way I view it. Not to mention, we take a look at how when it comes to, just altcoins in general, many of them still have a lot to prove. Again, Bitcoin hasn't even reached the price of 100,000, 150,000. So yeah, I think when it comes to FLR, man, could you imagine what it does like 6 months from right now, a year from right now? It could be so special. Not to mention, my strategy is so simple, right? It's literally just dollar cost averaging. Anytime I earn income, I'm acquiring, I'm holding, and I'm just waiting. That's it, because I'm not one to day trade, use leverage, or swing trade. That's just not my style. Now, some people do that. It's fine, but I'm not going to do that, man. I'm not into drawing like random triangles or like whatever nonsense on a price chart. I just like to keep things simple. If I believe in a project, I just acquire it, I hold it, and just wait. That's it. I just like to keep things simple because, again, I think around 6 months, a year from right now, man, it could look so amazing when it comes to just altcoins and also FLR as well. So again, 50 cents during this bull run really wouldn't surprise me whatsoever when I consider all of those amazing factors, when I consider the Bitcoin ETF, also just how amazing FLR is as a project. Again, 50 cents during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I'm still bullish on FLR, and I think it's one of the most underrated projects out there. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.